All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Beast Wars Neo Sling. And yeah, this is a pretty cool little figure. This is a basic class figure from Beast Wars Neo, which of course was a Japanese exclusive toy line. There were some characters in Beast Wars Neo and Beast Wars the Second that were just repaints of molds that were released in the United States, but Sling was not one of them. He was one of the molds that was exclusive to Japan and turns into a little dimetrodon here. And yeah, it's a pretty nice mode, all things considered. I'd say the only thing I really actively don't like about it is that I wish that the legs for robot mode were handled a little bit differently, because they do just kind of like hang out here underneath the tail, which is, you know, not the worst, but not great either. They are pretty obvious down there. Now, in terms of articulation in this mode, the head, it's on a ball joint. It's at a ball joint kind of down at the base of the neck. So when you twist it, it does kind of like unseat itself from where the actual axis of the neck would be for a dimetrodon. But also his mouth can open and close a little bit, just like that. All four of the legs are in static poses, but they're on ball joints at the hips, so they can't like bend at the knees or the ankles or anything. And they're all in different sort of, you know, sculpted poses, but they do have ball joints they can wiggle around, which isn't all that helpful. It's mostly just for transformation, but I guess, you know, you can move the legs around. You just can't really get them in other positions that really look good. So for whatever that's worth. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, for a standard one, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe, just so you can see what he looks like with an average size deluxe there. I didn't really feel like the car mode comparison made a lot of sense, so that's what he looks like with them. With him, here he is with an average size core class figure with Soundwave there, and then here he is for another Beast Wars comparison with basic class Iguanus, just so you can see, you know, they're about the same size. I'd say he's a little bit bigger than Iguanus, but, you know, still similar vibes there. Now, the thing about the Beast Wars Neo Predacons was when I did the reviews for all the Beast Wars Neo Maximals that I had, they all had this like weird separate third mode that was like a weapon mode, or like, you know, a base mode kinda, which is, you know, super weird for it to just be made out of animal parts. And the Predacons did have something similar to that. Basically what all the Predacons had was kind of a trap mode. So what you're supposed to do is you take the actual fin of the you know, dimetrodon here and open it up, and it has this beautiful pattern kind of painted on the inside. And then I've seen pictures where, you know, the legs are like weirdly rotated around, but it doesn't really matter. Really the main thing of this mode is that the you know, is that the like sail is open. So I usually just leave the legs down. And basically what is, there you go. It's supposed to be a trap where if you push in like this little piece here, then it'll snap close on your fingers and, you know, trigger a trap where you can put a figure in there and it's like, okay, Soundwave got trapped. And you know, it's a neat little thing. I don't really like the trap mode in and of itself, but I love the painted detail on the inside of the sail there. I feel like that works really well, and it definitely makes for a neat, you know, presence in robot mode as well. But yeah, for transformation for this guy is, you know, pretty simple. You just want to kind of loosen up the sail here, kind of loosen it up from the other arm here, just like that. You know, the sail kind of sits on this side, and then like the tail sits on the other side. And then what you want to do is just kind of like widen these legs so they splay out to the side like that, so that when you take the actual armature piece that they're on and hinge that forward, then they're just sitting forward, or, you know, they're just sitting out like that for now. We can rotate them around at the waist and just, you know, fold down the feet there. There's this Predacon Spark Crystal there. And then you take the Dimetrodon head and rotate it around and just double hinge it down onto the chest like that. For this one arm, it's the whole tail section here is on a double hinge. So you just kind of rotate it up like that, so it kind of sits on the arm like that. And I usually just kind of, you know, move these feet around so they're as compressed to the tail as they can be, which is not a whole lot, but you know, it's something. And then the other arm just has the sail. And then you want to get your fingernail in here and just rotate out the head just like this. It's on this weird sort of ball joint stock where it's like based at the back of his head. So when you bring it up like this and then rotate it around, it'll actually, you know, sit level with the head there. And then you take this this one arm or this one leg and just fold it down like that. And then this one you fold down like that, so it kind of sits crisscrossed on his back. And there you have Sling in his robot mode. And yeah, he's pretty cool. Like, obviously he's got big unwieldy kibbly bits on his arms here, but, you know, I kind of prefer that to him having just like removable parts that you can't do anything with, that just become like gigantic weapons that he can't store anywhere. So I appreciate that they're at least attached to the figure. The tail is kind of nothing. It would have been cool if there was like a gun barrel that flipped out from the inside, kind of like Terragator or something, just so he had like an arm gun rather than just like this being a big kibble chunk. But the shield here, you can flip it open and actually, have it be, oh my gosh, it's a little bit of a hair trigger, this mechanism, but you can actually have it be a shield on his arm, which I think is kind of a cool look. Again, with the pattern there, I think is pretty cool, especially since he's such a little guy that this shield actually does protect a majority of his body, which I think is kind of cool. But yeah, he's a weird little dude, but I feel like it works. He's got a nice head sculpt there with a cool snarl pose there. In terms of articulation, yeah, the head is on a ball joint, but it's attached like at the base at the bottom of the stock, so you really only get a swivel's range, and it kind of moves his head from side to side because it's based so far back. And then you can kind of look up a little bit, but if you look it back too much, it starts to look weird. The shoulders are on ball joints, so they can rotate around like that. The elbows are on ball joints, which gives him a bicep swivel and about 90 degrees of bend, at least on that side, and also on that side. Yeah, it's pretty much the same, even though he's got different stuff on the forearms, but it's mostly the same range of movement there. He's got a waist swivel. Hips are on ball joints, they can rotate forward and back and then out to the side. Knees are on ball joints, which gives them a thigh swivel and about 90 degrees of bend of movement. And the feet are on ball joints. One of those Beast Wars figures that just has a ton of ball joints. So pretty decent articulation on this guy. Like I said, really the thing about him is he's wielding these giant kibble chunks. So if you can get past that, then he's a pretty cool figure. But that I'm sure that would turn a lot of people off. In terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with Kingdom Sideswipe and Kingdom Core Class Soundwave, just so you can see some standard size comparisons there. And here he is again with Iguanus. We'll just transform real quick because he's easy. Don't have to do that off camera like usual. So you can see, he's a pretty average height, basic class figure for the time. He's a little bit bigger than Iguanus and has a bit more heft to him, but they're pretty comparable, I'd say. But yeah, not really a ton else to say about him. I like him just because he turns into a Dimetrodon. Neither mode is perfect. I feel like the Dimetrodon mode is pretty cool, and I like the robot mode well enough, despite the big, kind of kibble chunks. But he's fun. He's got decent articulation. He's got a good head sculpts in both mode. I love the, painted shield thing, even if it's not, that great as the actual like trap mode that it's supposed to be. It's still a cool feature on the figure. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Beast Wars Neo Basic Class Sling.